This is the Power Element Podcast, episode 81. All right, if you're new to the show, my name is Paul. I produce the podcast. I am a journeyman lineman by trade. Give Raul the day off on this one. All right, back by popular demand, we have journeyman lineman, trades trainer, rodeo coach, Steve Lekvold. We get into a rodeo recap, break down John Wooden's Pyramid of Success. This episode does not disappoint, but first, our promotional partners. Milwaukee Tool. Since the company began in 1924, Milwaukee Tool led the industry in developing innovative solutions that deliver increased productivity and unmatched durability for professional construction users. Head on over to MilwaukeeTool.com or on Instagram at Milwaukee Tool. Total Safety Supplies and Solutions is your one-stop shop for your job site tools, PPE, garments, rubber goods, testing, and more. With locations spread across the U.S., you can expedite and simplify your day-to-day needs with a vast assortment of trustworthy services and solutions. Visit TotalSafety.com. We are your preferred tooling, supplies, and service experts. High Voltage Industries, the biggest brand on Instagram, showcasing all aspects of the high voltage industry. These guys have been working for nearly 10 years on showing the world what we do and how the industry gets it done every day. Check out the Instagram page at highvoltage_industries. They have some of the best merch in the game. You actually see Coach Lek rocking it, highvoltageindustries.com. Speaking of Coach, be sure you're following them on Instagram so you can check out our rodeo collab. We teamed up with Benchmark FR and High Voltage Industries. When you're checking out, use promo code POWERELEMENT to get 10% off your order, all caps, one word. Once again, Power Element, all caps, one word. All right, big shout out. Music you're hearing is provided by Daniel Sanchez, aka DSS Beats on Spotify. Thanks, Daniel, for providing us with all of our music, especially that flow right now. All right, if you enjoy the show, do us a favor. Make sure you're following us on your favorite platform. Give us a like. Be sure to share the show. Help spread the word. Helps the algorithm. Appreciate it a bunch. All right, last but not least, I want to thank the entire Sturgeon, California workforce. Without you, this podcast would not be possible. All right, let's get to the show. The Power Element Podcast, episode 81 with Coach. Enjoy the show. Success is peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to become the best that you are capable of becoming. It's a quote from John Wooden. Steve Lekvold, how much part is self-satisfaction in your success in your career?
The thing that when I think of the success of my career, I actually go back to John Wooden and where he got his joy and his self-worth, and that was through the success of others. So, I think I've really matured as a leader. At the start, I was more of a me first type leader, and then I've become more of a service leader as I've got older.
Do you think that's pretty natural to, because I could totally agree with you. I think right now at 40, I feel like I'm now trying to be a servant leader and practice servant leadership. And it just kind of clicked, that maturity. I'm not saying I'm the most mature person, but, I think there's a click of like, you know what, does this benefit me or the team? Is that fair enough to say?
Yeah, it is. It's, selfishness versus selflessness.
Yeah.
So those moments when you had those opportunities to be selfless and help somebody else first, and it comes back to you that how much it was appreciated, that's heartwarming. It's so many times it's brought a tear to my eye that just to know that I took the time to train, to mentor, and have somebody come back and tell me how much they appreciate it. Yeah, those are the special moments.
So you feel like now that maturity has brought you into being a selfless leader and always trying to put the success of others has kind of filled your cup now more as you're into your 60s?
Well, it sure makes me better at actually thinking about what I'm doing and preparing for what I'm doing, and not talking without putting some thought into how the message is going to be received. I'm very self-aware that I want to do the right thing and say the right thing. And sometimes, it might be a confrontation that isn't necessarily a pleasant one, but one that has to be had. So yeah, I'm constantly trying to improve, be a better communicator, and have positive results.
Do you think it's still pretty natural, even though you've kind of identified that you're leaning towards being a more selfless leader and bringing joy and success to other people's life, that you still personally conflict with yourself of maybe wanting to go back to selfish ways or behaviors? Do you think that's pretty natural still?
I do think that everybody, we're all kind of wired to look out for number one.
Yeah.
I think that's natural. But again, as I've got older, I've become so much more aware of how what I do, what I say affects other people. And I'm a flawed man. I'm going to make mistakes. But I try to recognize it and learn from it and be better in the future. No better example than the type of baseball coach I was back in the day, and teetering on a Bobby Knight or a Mike Ditka, very driven, everything about winning, and to the point of having to see another coach that basically was acting the same way and communicating the same way that I communicated, and then stepping back and thinking, I don't like what I see. I'm seeing me, and it's not a good look. I have to improve.
Wow. Man, that's cool. If you guys haven't noticed, we got Steve Lekvold on here, the podcast. I think we can kind of stop it here within 5 minutes and cut that and clip that. Just kidding. We're going to keep going.
Okay.
Steve Lekvold, Journeyman, Lineman, trades training here at Sturgeon, Lexington, California. If you want to go back and hear more about Steve's journey, we have had him on episode 20 and 38. This is Steve's first time in the new studio. What do you think, man?
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, I really like it.
Can we stamp it the house the studio that Lek built?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
We won't go that far.
All right. I just want to give you the opportunity.
Give me a couple years.
That's cool. Lek, for anyone who hasn't listened to those episodes and heard about your story, I suggest you all go back. There's Steve's had over 40 years in the trade. Is a veteran of the Air Force, beautiful family, loving wife who we get to spend time with around in the rodeo. But if anyone hasn't heard that story, if you have an elevator pitch about who you are, a little bit introduction, real quick, can you give that?
Yeah, sure. And I'm proud as heck of my my marriage to Yvonne, how we've raised our family. Grew up with 2 brothers, 2 sisters. Played sports. Dad's a coach, and then went in the military in 1981. Met a journeyman lineman when I reported to my reserve unit in approximately 90 or 82, maybe 83. And he helped me get into the trade. So along the way, it's just, I managed to stay in the reserves and get a retirement out of the military, did 21 years and retired in 2003. And I'm proud of my background in the trade, that I've basically done everything that there is. I started in an outfit that did 500 kV, 220 kV, built towers, strung wire. Then went to sub-transmission for approximately 13 years. Then found distribution work, was a troubleman for 5 years. And 38 years later, I made a commitment to come work for Sturgeon and Raul, and I honored that commitment, and I'm going on my into my third year now with Sturgeon.
Well said. In the introduction to, we'll kind of preface, we'll kind of tee up what we'll get into here is the rodeo questions, but you spent some time as a journeyman lineman competing in rodeos. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was... That came about in, I believe, 1993. Had no idea, never heard of it. Had a team that represented our transmission yard go back and take a 4th overall, and I believe the 10th or the 11th annual Lineman's Rodeo International. And then once I heard about that competition, I knew it was something I needed to be a part of. So from 94 until today, I've been a part of it. 30 years as a person inside the ropes competing on a team. And then now I'm a coach on the outside and enjoying it just as much.
Real quick, if you had about one or two quick highlights of your time competing, is there any things that stick out? Actually, you know what? Let me stop that. I don't want to spoil it. Disregard that question.
Okay.
All right, so get into your role now. You mentioned your rodeo coach. Can you talk about your role and then maybe introduce the team members if you can, please?
Yeah, sure. We have 3 guys that are equally capable of being the climbers on the team. We had a season that was competitive, but we shook it up a little. But as it is, our Daniel Jameson is a climber on the team. He's always been there from the start. Enoch came to the team a couple years back, and he's our second climber. And then Joe Minus, who has taken over for me at the groundman position, is in his second year, and yeah, we're ready to go. He came, having Joe has never had any experience in rodeo, but then having me as a coach, having all the experience that Dan and Enoch have, they probably each have close to 20 years coming up on that experience rodeoing. So it's been a pretty easy transition to get him coached up and get him, squared away, be on a potential world championship team.
You mentioned shaking it up. What do you mean by that?
I'm sorry, say again? You
mentioned in the introduction, you kind of shaking up the rodeo team. What do you mean by that?
Well, when Daniel actually brought Joe to the team, I kind of envisioned somebody that was going to look more like me, maybe a little
tall, dark, and handsome.
Yeah, maybe a little rotund, not quite the climbing specimen that I used to be. Well, no, Joe's just turned 30 and in tip-top shape and is highly competitive. And I got an opportunity last year that every chance he got, he threw his tools on and climbed and realized that he will be a champion someday. And so this year I decided to have each guy do 2 rodeos on the ground, and that gave each one of them four opportunities to climb. And then after the 6th rodeo, I made the decision as a coach who the team would be going forward for the rest of the season.
Do you stand behind the decision? You think it was the best scenario?
Yes, I do. And, it really warmed my heart that, I know Joe, it was disappointing to him, but he actually, I don't even think I told you, he came to me personally and just said he knew it was a tough decision for me. He stood behind it. That he appreciated. I gave him the opportunity, but it basically just came down to experience. We got 2 guys that have been doing it forever, and Joe, he's just he needs more experience. And if he continues, like I said, he'll be a champion, no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, there's I'm dropping the ball here, but there was a quote I heard on a podcast that said, "Experience is a gift. It's not a necessity." And I think that decision you had was tough because I get to travel with the team. I take I get to do the photos and videos, and I see the amount of dedication and sacrifice that goes into the team that they put in, and you yourself. And I see how hard they work, and they want to compete at the best. So I know that's a tough decision, but I know Joe and you have a good relationship in the team. So I know at the end of the day, you're going to do what's best for the team. And we'll get into team and success here in a little bit. But I want to ask a few questions. Recapping. Go ahead.
Let me comment on that because, through studying up and reading about John Wooden,
yep.
I read something that came to mind. I'm going to tell Joe that now, is that I should have done a better job of telling him to be himself. In other words, what I saw last year, every time he climbed, he was doing what he does, and he was doing it at a high, perfect level, But as he came to the team this year and he was around Enoch and Dan, who are just so highly competitive and do things so effortlessly and fast, I think he pushed himself to be them, to be more like them instead of just being himself. And I feel I missed it on that one. I should have just said, hey, put that out of your mind. Just be yourself. You're great.
Be yourself, give your best, and let the chips fall where they may, right?
Yeah.
Is that advice you'd stand on to give to anyone now as they look to maybe shift from a ground room role to a climber role to just, be themselves? Or?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I do think, and I know that this journey we just had was beneficial. I've seen a huge improvement in Daniel this year, huge improvement from last year. So that in itself is a big plus, and I'm glad we did it.
What are you attributing that improvement on to, Dan?
Consistency.
Yeah.
Consistency more than anything, seeing the big picture, So it's just like anything else. Sometimes you have to sacrifice self-gratification, self-goals for the good of the team. Put the team first. And I think with that competition between all three of them, he rose to the occasion and showed his best self.
Well, we'll get to the tip of the pyramid is competitive greatness, right?
Right.
That Daniel exhumed when he's seen that there was going to be opportunity for what you call the shake-up and see what other team members have. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, cool. I got some rodeo questions for you. Recapping your time as the coach. You cool with that, Lek?
Yeah, should be easy.
What can I call you, Lek? Coach? What do you want? Steve?
Coach.
Howie?
I mean, Coach. You talk about. I've had a number of nicknames in my career.
Some good.
And they've all been good.
Okay.
They've all been good. I'm proud of all of them. Even one was a scowl. I was called Scowl for a while.
Scowl face?
I had a pretty dirty look.
Oh, yeah?
But
Old side-eye?
when I was coaching Little League and everything, that scowl played it was a big advantage because it put out an image that was unapproachable, which is nice for the parents to keep them at bay.
There you go.
But coaches, there's no better. There's no better nickname than Coach.
Well said. And that's going to play right into our podcast. All right. First question for me, Lek. What stood out to you most about this rodeo season? Any memorable moments or standout performances? What you got?
Obviously from a personal standpoint, the opportunity to spend time with Yvonne, one-on-one. Obviously we had Will late in life and, he's independent now, can stay home. He's going to college, and it's allowed us to go off and be together, because basically 18 years we had to sacrifice having him with us everywhere we go. So that's been really cool. Then for me, the competition, sure, we prepare, we coach, we get ready, the guys go in and do their thing. I appreciate all three of them just contributing, all of them thinking, all of them giving input to the game plan to do an event, so that's good for me, and I love it. I love good ideas. I'm good to say I like that. Let's go with that. Enoch really steps up in that department on contributing on technique, strategy, game planning, everything like that. But and Joe's been a little bit apprehensive, but I keep encouraging him. You're a thinker. You have ideas. Bring them to the table. Speak. Be the loudest voice if you have to. But mostly, I think the thing I enjoy the most is just the camaraderie, the seeing old friends, the after the rodeo's over, everyone together enjoying themselves. Whether we win or lose, it's just we all went out, we gave our best effort, and then we can just enjoy each other. Those are precious moments to me.
Well said. Next question. Actually, you know what? I wasn't prepared for you to kind of really highlight. I know you and Yvonne have a good time traveling, but I wasn't prepared for you to open that question like that. So it was nice. It was a nice surprise. It was good. And I like it shows, part of you is competitive, but part of you really enjoys who you are. You talk about that, just being married to your best friend and enjoying her company. And, she's great to have around. So I think that's great, man.
I'm a blessed man. You know that. We've been teammates forever, and it only gets better. It gets better all the time. So I've been so fortunate.
That was cool,
to
man.
have her. Yeah.
That's I love that, and I love that you mentor that, and you're not shy to speak about that too, because it sets a good example for those of us that want to do better outside of the professional into that personal life. So, anyways, I digress.
Oh, thank you.
Next question: did you feel like the team prepared differently this year compared to others? What you got?
I'm blessed as a coach, just to have the amount of experience I have. Basically, I want them in good climbing shape, fundamentally sound, for any rodeo. I can't stand the thought of ever losing a rodeo from a cutout or anything like that. If we're using good fundamentals, climbing right, what we do once we get into a working position is going to be how a rodeo's won. So practice for us, we can do, Enoch and Dan can do that hurt man rescue in their sleep.
Yeah.
They can just visualize every single move on how to do it. So it's just, I'm tending to I want to take the clock, the stopwatch away, because it doesn't really matter. They're doing their best. They're giving 100%, and the time is what it is. So we do like to do a couple hurt man, just a couple egg climbs, just to get that good feeling that the climb's solid, the egg doesn't get broke, and we're good to go there. But mostly it's the little things, the little details that I like to concentrate on. Getting up on the pole, applying cover to the neutral, belting, having a perfect method to get transitioned above the neutral, transition in their safeties. And a practice might just be just going right up to that level and just working at that level until it's perfected. That it's going to be, they can do it in their sleep every time, just like kind of how they can do the hurt man. So I believe in those things are where rodeos are won. Transitioning, putting on covers got to be flawless, the little things. Then the work, they're so skilled and coordinated that they should be able to be up there with anybody as far as their technique. We just want to be efficient. But with the little details that I'm learning as a coach, that I can't overlook little details, things that I would think that I shouldn't have to speak about. Now I do. I've learned as the season's gone on that I've got to be petty in some instances and demand, that it's done a certain way.
You're locked in, man. This is great.
Yeah.
What's in your coffee?
I'm just getting off the buzz, so you got me at a good time. Earlier, I was a mess. I was shaking.
The shakes. The coffee shakes. What you got in there? Heard you got a nice little cocktail going.
Yeah, Yvonne's taking care of me, so she doesn't want me taking any artificial sweeteners. So instead of that, I'm using agave for my sweetener in my coffee. And then because I'm always looking to better myself, somebody was talking about these cocoa flavanols that it's a powder that I can't remember all the health benefits for having it every day. So I'm putting some of that in my coffee. And like I told you earlier, sometimes I go to bed thinking how good that cup of coffee is going to be in the morning.
Man.
I look forward to my routine in the morning. I look forward to everything I do, and there hasn't been a day that I haven't gotten the truck and dreaded going into work. I'm ready to go. I'm locked in. I'm happy to be around the guys, so yeah, I'm living the dream right now.
Starts with a good cup of coffee, huh?
Yeah, it sure does.
You got a favorite blend you got there? Folders?
Just Folders, the big red tub, When I start getting down to the end, I'll leave it out on the counter. That's a signal to Yvonne. You need to go buy me another one. Same thing with the cocoa stuff. I'll leave it out on the counter, just sending a message, hey, it's time to get another one.
It's time to restock. Okay, I'm going to have to try this. Cocoa flavanols and agave. All right. You might have to put your recipe online.
Okay.
I did a terrible job of opening this rodeo recap. This is recorded in August. We're headed into October ILR. We've completed a handful of rodeos, so this is where we're at currently with the rodeo. So that's the opening statement there.
Okay.
For the audience. With that being said, who do you recognize as having the most growth this season so far?
Oh, that's easy. Daniel.
Dan's 20 plus years in his rodeo career. How is he still growing? What do you got, man?
Well, I think the sense of and Dan, I'm just guessing, but as a coach, I believe in his mind that he was competing for a job.
Yeah,
and I think that locked him in. It locked him in even better. So we had a few mistakes along the way. For the most part, did you want me to get into the season and results yet, or I'll let you just ask the questions?
No, go ahead. You're doing good. No, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but Daniel, yeah, and then as much as Enoch dreaded being on the ground, he stepped up and took it seriously and gave, and his effort was perfect. His voice was loud enough. His contribution was loud enough. He cared about doing the best he could do, because he came to me with a like, this is embarrassing. I'm an eagle.
Eagles fly.
Yeah, Eagles fly. So, but you know, I love him like my boy, and he trusts me. You know, so when it comes right down to it, he believes in me, and he does what he'll rise up. So I'm really proud of him. Then Joe, again, got the opportunity, learning experience this year, took some lumps along the way, but I really believe that if I would have done a better job of coaching him on being himself, I think it would have made a difference.
Well said. Goes into my question. Next question. Did you coach any differently this year? And then if you can, give yourself a grade on your coaching so far this year. Come at you strong.
No, I don't think I've coached any different. Again, I'm trying to be a good communicator, trying to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, number one, I want to be honest with them and let them know. If I look at it, if anytime there's the results aren't what they should be, I look at myself. You know, I'll find things that I'm disappointed in myself for that I could have done better. Going back to details, like I talked about, we had one rodeo in particular where got through our first event, which was challenging and did well and got through with 100 points, and then had an upset in our second event where we thought we were cheated. And because of that, I think we all let our guard down going forward, including me. In other words, my mind was so attuned to what just happened in the past, right, which is gone, that I wasn't in the present of what needed to be done. I mean, that's a John Wooden quote right there. You know, the past is yesterday. It's gone. Do your best today, and that might impact the future, you know? So, again, my technique, I found multiple opportunities where I needed to get better. So, which is good. You know, it's just, as we went, it's shown its face, you know, to be a good thing. Sometimes you're there. I could be pretty boisterous on the outside of the ropes. Sometimes I tend to think, like, how am I coming across to everyone else on the grounds? But all I've got is positive feedback, and that's from strangers, you know, linemen, supervisors, wives that come up to me and say, well, we'd love to have you on our team. So
Not for sale.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm enthusiastic. Yeah. No, not, you know, so basically me, I look at me and how I can get better.
I'm gonna hold your feet to the fire. I need you to give me a grade there, Lek, on your coaching experience.
Oh. Coaching experience?
Sorry, coaching this year. Your coaching result.
I'll give myself a B.
That's good.
Yeah, there's room for it's above average, but room for improvement. But I don't think, you know, how many of me are out there? How many teams are out there that show up that have a coach?
Yeah,
not very many. In fact, I don't know. You know, it could be very, very few.
Yeah, and thank you to Sturgeon, California, Raul, for being the keystone to that initiative. But I think you also shared your knowledge and your input and advice to not even people in our local, but you have a lot of other influences that reach out to you.
Yeah. You know, I'm an open book these days. And you know, I'm as competitive as they come. But I've told you that in the past, I didn't know how to enjoy it. I never learned how to enjoy it, and so a big change in the last few years is finding a way to compete at the highest level, but also enjoy it. Like you might have saw me up at Pacific Northwest. I had a training tool with me, and I had some stranger team that I'm over there coaching, showing them how to do this, how to make up the P-tie, how to put it on, you know, how the wrap lock works. And I don't know if the boys saw me doing it. They might be a little bit like, what the heck are you doing, Lek? Because that team won the national championship 2 years ago, I believe, in KC.
Yeah.
They're a championship team, and I'm coaching them.
Yeah, P-tie with sticks takes some good teamwork.
And I was proud. They got through the event. They made the meantime.
Yep.
Got through it clean. You know, they were right there at the you know, pushing over, but they got it done. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud that they did that.
Very well. Very good. All right, next question. Looking ahead to ILR, what is the focus as you head into Kansas in October?
Again, details, the little things. Being good at those, being perfect at those things that we know are going to be there. That's all we can do. Then experience, talent, everything else will take over from there. And strategy. Strategy. We learned on strategy this year too, you know.
How so?
Well, I'll go to Utah. You know, Toby and Brian, and I'm not sure their new teammates.
He's
name.
at 57. I can't remember his name.
Oh, he's solid. Though.
Yeah,
they've got a great team, but their strategy, they absolutely beat us on strategy. You know, where they stay back, they scout, but they scout with intention. You know, I like that. I don't like that. Let's do this. Let's split the hand line here, and because of that, it made me get better. Again, we got, you know, I recognize that strategy is a big part of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, any tell from a 4-time national champ rodeo team that's going to give you some advice, and even just watching their strategy and everything. Like you said, they do that really well, and I think that's a big part of their success.
Yeah, yep. Yeah. I can't remember ever actually, you know, like going to them and actually asking for advice, which, again, maybe I get a little stubborn then, I got a little better at that. Daniel's a great communicator with the competition. He has good relationships with all of them, and he talks to them, you know, so, and that's a good thing. I encourage it.
Yeah.
I got to get better at it.
There you go. That's why you got that B. How do you plan to build on this season's experiences moving forward?
Like I said, my job's pretty easy. So as long as the boys keep showing up, obviously I want to keep the team intact, you know, but sometimes things happen that affect that. But if we can keep the team together, then we've got a huge advantage going into any season, just based on experience. And these guys, they work every day. They're not going to, you don't get out of shape in our world.
Yeah.
You know, shoot, you guys have taken 30 pounds off me. And I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know, so
good.
Yeah, I feel you know, at 65 I'm feeling really good. So and I'm going to keep trying to get better. But yeah.
Yeah, well done. That's kind of all I got on the rodeo recap. We're going to shift into something here shortly. I got a surprise for you, but I want to make sure you covered everything you wanted to. Is there anything I missed on the rodeo recap? Do you want to go over results? Anything else stands out that I didn't ask?
No, just obviously I'm really pleased with results for the season. It's kind of funny that their first rodeo, they went to Houston, and they scheduled it and planned it when I was away on vacation. So it started with me having the red ass a little bit because I couldn't attend. And then, but they went there and presented well in Houston, took a third place. And we rolled from there. I think we did 7 rodeos. We had 1 third, 1 second, and 3 championships along the way. The only one that we didn't present ourselves well at was Utah, actually. And that was, again, going back to letting our guard down and not strategizing right and not staying in the present. Lucky for us there, it's kind of a unique rodeo. They have individual events. And so all 3 of them, I think, who was the groundman for that event?
For Utah?
Was it Joe? Yeah, it was Joe. Joe was the groundman for Utah, but then he got to compete in the Journeyman individuals, and the boys took home 11 of the 12 possible trophies there. So, you know, personally, I would discourage rodeos from having in a team competition having any kind of personal or individual trophies, but it paid dividends for us there, so made the celebration a lot better.
You want to go on the record with a prediction for ILR?
No prediction. You know, the boys will all give 100%, and we'll be prepared. And you know, that's all we can do. Like Wooden said, be the best you can be. You know, give your best and let the results take care of themselves.
I like that question. I like that answer.
Yeah.
What do you got for Wyatt? Wyatt's had a pretty good apprentice, man. What do you think?
Yeah. I need more work with him. Yeah. I definitely do. I typically he has my number. He has the ability to any day that he's wrapping up early. He can give me a little call out and say, hey, I want to climb today, and I'll meet him and I'll climb with him. So he's got to do a little better job of showing some initiative because he has a ton of potential, but fundamentally climbing, he needs work still. He needs a lot of climbs because, it's just a little sloppy for me. But he's enjoying it. I love seeing his growth. And what an experience. We've given, I love that when I could give someone new that kind of experience. Can you imagine him in Kansas City this year? How wide his eyes are going to be, So, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. On the plane ride to Portland, he's asking tons of questions. I think even the opportunity we had with him at that restaurant at team dinner, he had oysters for the first time. I think that's just so fun to get payback pay it forward in that sense. I think it's great. So, yeah.
A good kid, respectful, professional. He represents Team Sturgeon very well, so I'm proud of him.
Yeah, well said. All right, Coach, we got a little surprise for you. I think we're ready. Questions for Coach? What we got?
Hey, Steve. This is Jacob Ramirez, lineman at the City of Anaheim.
Hey, Jake.
How are you doing, bud?
Good.
My question to you
got your
is,
baby yet?
What has been the hardest transition from competing to the rodeos to now coaching the team you have now, and why? Thanks, brother. Hope all is good.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Hope the family's well.
Sorry, Steve, that was an audio recording.
Oh, it was? I thought I was talking to him.
But you're good.
So the question was the hardest transition, right?
The transition from
competitor to coach.
Yes.
Easy for me. Easy. Well welcomed. Like I said, I'm 65, got a artificial hip on my left side. I've for overwhelm health-wise, I think I've done tremendous for being in my hooks for all the years I was in them. For no back problems. I think things happen after taking, and then you throw rodeo and the extra 15,000 climbs you put on your body over 30 years, practicing and doing everything else. It probably doesn't help. But 65, I was ready to step outside the ropes. I'd never experienced it. And I knew in myself, like I communicated to Raul, that because he had some apprehension, because with me coming on the team really translated into success. We were really seeing the journey coming to a potential world championship, and me stepping on. And I was kind of the person that came in and kind of got it rolling that way. But like I said, I love coaching. I've coached athletics. I grew up at a coach's house. And I told him, I've never coached a loser in my life, and I don't plan to start now. We're going to be better with me on the outside than on the inside. In other words, at my age, I was starting to recognize my skills could potentially hold the team back. So there you have it. It was perfect. And as far as being on the outside, I'm on the team. I'm part of it. I live all their success, any disappointments, that I feel them all. So. No, I'm part of the team still. Nothing's changed.
Well said. Thanks, Jake. He auto-recorded that for us. Sorry I threw you off there. But Jacob Ramirez, Journeyman Lineman, City of Anaheim, great guy.
Okay.
I got some more questions for you, Lek. I had to ask your fans. You got a great following. You've influenced a lot of people here, so I couldn't not take the opportunity to ask them for some feedback. So first question I got from Questions for Coach Eldon Rivas on Instagram at LU66 Renew, Local 66 Renew. Eldon, we met him at Houston's Rodeo. Great guy, great mustache, big fan of Steve's. Here we go. If you could plant one value, even a seed, into the next generation of linemen, what would it be and why?
You have to compete. You have to compete in everything you do. You got to compete to be the best husband, the best father, the best brother, the best teammate. That's a thing that I think is that's a thing that's going to propel you in life to be the best that you can be.
Well said. Thanks, Eldon. Appreciate you. I don't know if I'm going to see you in ILR. Hopefully we do. Next one, we got Chad Dominic. We met him last year, ILR. He's a lineman out of Virginia. Chad's a great guy, has a great beard too, dresses nice, man. Gave me a belt buckle actually last year, so appreciate you, Chad. Chad wants to know, Steve, Coach, when did you realize that impact you would have as a trades trainer and rodeo coach would be greater than if you were on a crew getting after it?
I've often said that if now, of course, I said I'm competitive, so I've competed to be the best I can be at whatever I do in my life, including line work. But I love coaching. I grew up in a coach's house. I've often said that if I was probably doing what I was meant to do, I'd probably be coaching, full time. So, an impact. Let me put it this way. Back when I was in the trade early in my career, only thing I knew to do was make money. I'd go to work every day, answer every phone call, support the family, make money. And consequently, when my two youngest boys were coming up, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, they're joining up for soccer, Little League, everything else. And I'm not there. I'm working all the time. Well, I went to a game and saw my oldest son, he's probably 10 at the time, getting just no coaching at all. And at that moment in my life, I just said, I've got to be a part. I've got to get involved. I've got to be a part of it. So from that moment forward, I was involved, put money aside, balanced my home life along with work and prioritized what was important. And being the best I could be for those boys was at the top of the list. So that's what I did, coached them up through to high school. But I will tell you a story that had a huge impact on me. And that was, when I thought about my dad coaching and thought about it coaching up to this point, my thoughts were, only thing that mattered was winning and losing. That's how you measured what a coach was. And I was at a Charger game back when they played in San Diego, and my dad and I are walking through the concourse, and it's just thousands of people there, and you can hear a man yelling, "Coach, coach!" And my dad turns around, and here comes this grown man, 30-something years old, wife with him, a couple kids, and running up to just bear hug my dad and give him love. And I realized in that moment, that's what's special. It wasn't that he was his coach for that 1 or 2 seasons he had him in high school. He's his coach for life. So how important it is to take that responsibility and be a positive influence in a young person's life, no better thing, no better priority. And it really helped me to understand why I was doing what I was doing.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, that's a great perspective, great honor too. I mean, for that guy to single out your dad and want to make sure he shows that appreciation.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Great question, Chad. Chad, appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, thanks, Chad.
All right, Morgan Martinez, our good friend Morgan.
Yeah, met Morgan.
Yeah, Morgan's great. Great friend, listener of the show, always well dressed. I think he's got a little modeling going, a little clothing brand. We got you. We see you there.
Reminds me of me. Damn handsome.
There you go, handsome man. All right, Morgan, we'll see you ILR. He's got 2 questions, not a problem. Coach has them right here locked in. First one, what changes stand out the most, whether it's equipment, safety protocols, or even competitive spirits? Excuse me. Let me start that over. What changes stand out the most, whether it's been equipment, safety protocols, or even competitive spirit? And how have those changes influenced the way you approach work today?
Yeah, well, safety, I can't really point to anything because from the moment I came out of the military and stepped onto a line crew, safety was always number one, and foremost in everyone's minds. Equipment, we've come so far with equipment. I look at, like I said, I did 13 years in sub-transmission work, basically work in 66,000 volts to 115 kV, 75-foot poles, working on wood with a line truck and what we used to call it. We called it a candy wagon, but it was just a material truck with a knuckle boom on it. Yeah, and if we were lucky, we'd have a pea shooter, which is a 100-foot boom on it that we used to, I don't know if you've seen people cleaning insulators, washing insulators. We could put a platform on that and work off that, which was a beautiful thing to have. But basically, you learned how to do everything off the wood, and I loved it. Again, being competitive, I'm 5'9", and there's a lot of reach involved in transmission work. But if I realized that even at 5'9", there wasn't nothing that I couldn't do that the 6'4" guy could do. Just body positioning, sometimes ingenuity, but getting the job done. And to look at transmission these days, they've got 100-foot bucket trucks. They've got actual cranes that they travel with. They've got this contraption that pulls poles that is just amazing that that they put in the back of that material truck. They brought it, where we used to have to get that pole jack out and be very strategic on how we put an angle on it, put the chain on, and put lags in to keep that back thing from sliding up.
Sometimes it just collapsed that pole too, rotten.
A lot of sweat and energy is spent pulling poles.
Yeah.
So, and what was the last part of the question?
Let's see. Or even competitive spirit have changed to influence your approach to work today?
When you talk about competitive spirit, I came up with an outfit that I worked for 38 years, and when the crew was intact, when a crew stayed together for, like when I was in transmission, that crew, I worked on the same crew for 7 years. That's like a well-oiled machine where all the strengths and weaknesses of the people you work with. You can help them through their weaknesses, benefit with their strengths, and even though nobody's keeping score, we're still competing. We're still trying to be better than the next crew, on safety, productivity, efficiency. So I really believe in that. As I went to distribution, they had a like every 6 months, sometimes every 4 months, they'd have a crew change. So just when you're getting that continuity of the crew, they'd split you up and put you other places. Now it's good to learn more. You get more exposure. But then come here to Sturgeon again. It's a crew is like a family here. These guys could potentially be together for, I don't know. You tell me, Paul. How many years can one crew stay intact?
Yeah, we have some crews that are 5+ years that have just really kind of the core group of guys, 4 or 5 years going in there easily.
So, yeah, I think that's a good thing, again, because, the foreman everyone knows each other. They're basically family. They do things off work together. They hopefully have good home work balance, and they're more apt to, because they know each other so well, they're more apt to pick up if something's wrong with somebody. That they're not their right self, and then they could possibly talk to them, find out what's going on, and help to get them through something that could be tough in their life. And obviously, like I said, everyone's competitive. Everyone wants to be better than the next guy. One GF wants to be better than the next. They're all wanting to do better than the next crew. So it's there.
Yeah.
It's just nobody's writing anything down, but it's between your ears. You know when you when you put on a clinic.
Oh man, that's great, man. You're firing on all cylinders. I love it.
Yeah,
it's that agave and cocoa flavonoid song.
Yeah, I think you bring out the best in me too.
Oh,
thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Anytime.
I thought about coming in today, and I was thinking, how do I hope the discussion goes? What's one word? And I thought inspirational, because as I read about Coach Wooden and what he's all about, it inspires me to be a better person. So, yeah, I think we're doing a good job of that, hopefully.
Yeah, great, man. And I got a few more questions. We'll shift to John Wooden and something you're passionate about and that you introduced me to. So yeah, I'm happy to share that too. And I know you're passionate about it too. So it's going to be a great segment we got for you guys. Sticking with Morgan Martinez, he's got another question for you. Was there ever a moment during a rodeo when you thought, this is it, I've blown it, but then you've managed to pull it off?
Morgan, the thing that comes to mind there, and I don't know if you've ever had to come off down the pole, thought you did a perfect job, and then the judge says, man, you guys did so good. You're the fastest team we've had here today, but.
Stomach drops.
But, and then they hit you with something that's almost insulting. You didn't shove your your lower strap all the way through. You had a little belly in it, or something to the effect of the knots were too loose on the mannequin, or and I've done a good job over the years being realistic. If something happens that hey, I dropped, I cut out, I made a physical error, you just take it on the chin. It happened. You walk out of there. So I have successfully got negotiated and got points back just a couple times. And I'm proud of that because I realized early on getting angry and kicking the dirt and trying to show the judge up isn't going to get you anywhere. You have to approach him like I'd approach an umpire, go hat in hand, just say, hey, I understand, but I do believe this happened, this happened, this happened. I believe all the other teams are doing the same thing. There's a team that's just ahead of us that did the same thing. I go, would you mind going up and talking to your head guy and seeing if he sees it differently, sees it my way, And like I said, most of the times, 2 points turns into 6 points. When the guy comes back, okay, you lost 2, now you've went up 1 step, and they take 4, and you want to push it further? Yeah, let's go all the way.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you've lost 6. But
let's go home, boys.
But Morgan knows, you lose 2 points at the international these days, you don't have any chance for the most part of winning a championship. But I am realistic too. Like we lost 2 points somewhere earlier this year. I can't remember where, but we lost 2 points, and I realized that this one event was going to be so difficult for all the teams to get through there and get by. In the meantime, I had to say, listen, that's behind us now, but we aren't out of it. This one event is going to have the best rise to the top. And if we can get through that event, cleanly and under the meantime, we still have a chance, and I think we end up coming second place or third place in that rodeo. So, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. That's good. Something I noticed too, and you might be able to elaborate on this, but a lot of open to interpretation as far as the work method in rodeo is testing the wire de-energized with a tester and then scrubbing it, cleaning it with a wire brush on a stick. It's always kind of open to perspective, right?
Yeah. We it's something we do every day. When we get the opportunity, you get a hot test first.
Yeah. Then
you do your switching, and then you test it dead. So you always want that opportunity to get a hot test prior if you can, whether it's on the underground with capacitive test points. I'm not quite sure rodeo-wise. It's just sometimes they have events that on their face they're very simple. But if you read through how they write it, they're asking you to do certain things in an absolute specific order, saying something at the right time, and it's just a matter of preparing yourself.
Yeah, it's tough because you get a flawless execution, but when you go for that hot test or the dead test on the line in a rodeo scenario, I'm talking about that you almost have to look and turn to the judge and say, Ted, and you're looking verbally a nod or something, or cleaning wire, because it's open. It's almost open to that specific judge's interpretation of what's the test, how clean how much effort did you put into scratching the wire. Anyways,
no, you're right, and a lot of things are simulated, and that's where verbal communication is big. I don't know how many times I've had judges after an event when I'm on the ground compliment me on my communication and talking to the guys and keeping them safe. So, that's good. That's a good learning tool. That scratching, greasing, even though they don't want you greasing wire for these events, you still need to say it out loud. Even you'll hear Enoch. He'll get a wrench on it and he'll yell tight.
Yeah.
Those little verbal cues to the judge that you did your job.
Oh, don't give me too much of that secret sauce.
All right.
I'm just kidding. All right, cool. One more. Here we go with 2 more questions. Soto from Oklahoma at an OGE. We met him at Local 66 Rodeo in Houston earlier this year. Sorry, you weren't there. But I forgot. Anyways, he didn't even compete. He drove down just to go watch.
Oh, okay.
Drove down and then drove up. It was like a 6-8 hour drive. Crazy, man. Just the spirit of that competitiveness Soto came out, met him, he introduced himself. Big fan of yourselves and of you, and just an overall great guy. He actually just, let's see, I'm gonna get this right. He actually broke the speed climb for OG and E, excuse me. This past rodeo, I'm assuming at their local rodeo, and his team plays for KC, so we'll get to see Soto in Oklahoma. In Kansas. All right, here we go. What was your greatest memory of putting on a clinic at a rodeo?
Let me think. First of all, Soto, appreciate the question. I did see you guys had, I'm just saying, if we can come and participate at your rodeo, for some reason it isn't advertised very well. So if you do take outside teams, reach out to us, because we'd love to come and participate at yours next year.
Well said. Good promotion.
Yeah.
You're like a fight promoter, Don King of rodeo.
Yeah, but obviously, to start with, I'm really proud of my Hurt Man Rescue, because I most techniques I see, the top techniques that are out there, I really feel like a lot of them kind of started with me, and all the work I put into being, to getting my tools on, getting my rubber gloves on, and being on the wood in, around 17 to 18 seconds, consistently every time, where I positioned on the pole, how I did it, plenty of clinics in that event. I remember the first time, I'd never seen a preform wrap lock in my life, and we got destroyed. We were a transmission team, and they have that event back in Kansas City, probably the 12th or 13th annual, and had no clue how to work it. But I tell you what, whenever I get beat by a tool, material, I will go back to the yard and I will work and work and work and perfect a method to know how to do it. So I can't give away everything, but I have techniques if you're using lever lifts and doing a pole position insulator change with lever lifts, changing out insulators where you have to buck the wire to a hot arm and working that preform wrap lock. So I put on, after getting destroyed, I've made it a point to never get beat up by a preform wrap lock again. So I feel like I've really come up with some techniques that I know they're going to work every single time.
Good stuff. All right, last question in this segment. Last question from Soto. Here we go. What has been your greatest success in the trade as a leader?
My greatest success is when somebody that I've been in their life, as a person on the wood with them, as a coach and mentor with an apprentice, rodeo, taking the time to train somebody to do a certain technique, even personal things where I've actually taken the time to, when I care about somebody, to actually sometimes have to tell them I'm disappointed and coach from and mentor from like a fatherly type of a love and for that person. So when I can do that for people, and sometimes it doesn't come back for years. But a guy approaches me and says, I was a first step apprentice. We had a journeyman crew out of the bucket that were dead-ending 4/0 copper with one phase already done. You stepped up to take me up the pole and do this job off the wood. And my basic thing with this kid, it was just, you follow me. You do what I do. We're going to talk and you're going to do it. And we proceeded to put on a clinic that was just, because the competitive let came in there. Okay. I got a first step. We're gonna whoop butt on these guys on the next structure. So you come down the pole. We're off the pole. All three are done. Cut in. Jumper loops closed, and they're still on their last phase. And then 10 years later, a guy taps me on the shoulder to tell me, I was that first step apprentice that you took up. It was the greatest experience I've had in my line career, what you did for me that day. So when you get feedback like that, knowing that you were a positive influence and you did something special, nothing better. Nothing better. That's what I live for now.
Well done. What'd you think, man? Questions for Coach. You like that segment?
Yeah. It's easy.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, obviously you can tell more, but I think that's where I'm at now.
Yeah, every time. Yeah, no, that was great. And I know every time everyone wants to meet you and greet you, and there may or may not have been an opportunity at Pacific Northwest where you signed a guy's chest that may or may not have happened. But yeah, it was all a good time. You always rise to the occasion, and everyone wants to have a few words with you. And I know you have a lot of people throughout the country that look up to you, so I think that's great. And I don't know if you noticed, I defaulted because you and Raul are pretty critical of my questions that I ask. So I defaulted and was able to skip out on some asking you questions.
No, it's good. It's really good. Yeah, I'd close this segment just by how that young man that wanted to meet me and wanted an autograph and this stuff. That's humbling, and I wasn't ready for that kind of compliments and everything when it first started happening. Just like took me back. But, I always come back to wood and just, if you do anything good in your life, man, be devoted to your family, be the best husband, the best father that you can be, number one, and find some balance in your career. Because if you get too, without the right person to support you, and you get too attuned to just being at work all the time, you're gonna sacrifice your family. So find balance between that work life, home life, and there's no reason you could be like me and be in your 41st year of marriage, and be very, very proud of what you've accomplished.
Well said. Perfect segue to get us into John Wooden and Pyramid of Success. We're going to get into that, and we talk about pyramids, and I got a great question for you to open this up. You've been, like I said, 40 plus years in the trade. You've built a lot. You've served in the Air Force. You have a lot of life experience. So many years ago, how did they build pyramids? Like, come on, man. How were those pyramids built? Any insight? Come on, give me something.
No, you tell me something, and maybe I can build on what you're thinking, because I have no idea how they built them. A lot of people think aliens built them.
Come on, man. Doesn't that bother you? Like, we don't know. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know.
One block at a time.
Yeah, but how? Razor thin margins, man.
Yeah. Back in the 70s, there was some movies came out. What was they called? Dog, no, was it Chariots of the Gods or something like that? There was like 3 or 4 of these movies. I remember we'd go to the movie theater to watch these movies. It just had unexplainable things out there that, like, how in the heck did these get here? Well, I don't know if they're called lithographs or what they make the cave drawings and stuff. And there's 1,000 years old, and there are pictures of airplanes, or rocket ships.
Crazy.
And you're going, makes you think, don't it?
Yeah, and another thing, not even is the pyramids, is the vases that are in these pyramids. They're flawless.
Yeah.
Like, you need a lathe, you need some modern tools, and
right.
Man, I'm just blown away. If anyone has any answers, or I don't know if we can pull it off on a podcast, but I'd definitely talk about pyramids. Anyways, I digress. Fun stuff. All right. So you kind of introduced me. I kind of always knew about John Wooden. I'm a fan of sports. I grew up a Laker fan, and kind of obviously running down to UCLA. But you've had this conversation with me about John Wooden. You kind of brought it up casually as you and I talk about leadership and coaching, and just you're a mentor of mine, and we talk about a lot of stuff all the time. And you kind of brought up John Wooden, and now in our rodeo trailer you could find you have the Pyramid of Success. You have quotes written on the wall. So I kind of wanted to maybe go back to when you were first introduced to John Wooden, or what your kind of early memories are with John Wooden.
Yeah. So I believe that my dad never actually he coached my brothers in youth basketball, and I love basketball. If I had ever picked my favorite sport just to play, I've never played competitively. I was a rotund little kid.
Rotund.
I was rotund. I had skills, but I was rotund. So, but my brothers, they were built for it, and I got the opportunity to watch my dad coach how he coached basketball, how nothing was left undone, how they competed. I mean, they would play against teams that every kid on the other team was 6 inches taller than his boys. But they were coached on defense. They were coached on the outlet pass. They were coached on – they ran an offense. He scouted. He adjusted a strategy. We're talking about 9, 10, 11-year-old kids. You know, and maybe eventually at the championship game it'd catch up with them. But for the most part, they won, 95% of everything that they did. And through that, my dad, I obviously know he was Wooden was a huge influence on my dad. So through my older brother, Tony, he sent him to John Wooden's basketball camp.
Ooh, nice.
Probably when I'm guessing he was 13 at the time. I don't know if he was in high school. And so that's where the Pyramid of Success was first mentioned in our house. I know my dad did get tickets to his last national championship game in '75 in San Diego. And then later on, because I knew of him, then I wasn't a big follower, but Lou Alcindor, later Cream, and Bill Walton. I just remembered the TV was always on when they were playing. And that's basically my introduction to coach. And then everything else is, like I said, that one moment with my dad when I understood what it is to be a coach. And then when I started coaching and wanted to be best I can be, I started reading and understanding what the great coaches did. And then here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. I got some facts about John Wooden to give a quick introduction for those of you who are not familiar with John Wooden. Real quick, here we go. He was nicknamed the Wizard of Westwood. Wooden coached UCLA to 10 NCAA championships in 12 years, 7 of them being consecutive. Where you at with that, Lek? It's crazy, right? 7 consecutive.
Yeah. Yeah. It's no accident either, just I don't know if you know, he coached at UCLA 15 years before he won his first championship.
Wow.
Yeah. But everything was building towards that, recruiting, consistency. They had 88 consecutive wins. So, yeah, I don't know if, obviously his thoughts were, he'd love his records to be broken. He would like them to be broken by the right people, the right personality. But, no, it's incredible. And I think I would say to anybody that is coaching youth sports, go ahead and pick up a book, read. Don't be afraid to get in the library, whatever sport you're coaching, learn about it. Learn how to run drills. Learn how to run a practice. Learn how to be organized. Learn how to scout potential talent. All those things.
Excuse me. Well said. We'll keep going in the introduction. You mentioned 88 consecutive games record in NCAA men's basketball. He was the first person inducted to the Basketball Hall of Fame as a player and a coach. That's wild. Mm-hmm. Going to his teacher and philosopher, Wooden created the Pyramid of Success, a timeless framework for personal and professional excellence. We're going to get into that. He taught English before coaching and believed success was about character, not just winning. He authored a few books. Coach and I got a few books here on the table. Fun fact, he served as a lieutenant in the U.S. Navy, World War II. Shout out Navy. He received the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2003. Named Coach of the Year multiple times and honored with numerous Lifetime Achievement Awards. And this is where we kind of see something you're passionate about, his personal life. He married his high school sweetheart, Nell Riley, and remained devoted to her until her passing in 1985. Ultimately, John Wooden passed away in 2010. He was 99 years old. So great stuff. Let's get into the pyramid, Coach. What you got? Let's see.
Yeah. I wanted to say,
go for it.
The one thing I read that just it struck me was when he was a senior in high school, 1928, playing for the state championship. You know what the final score was of that game?
Give it to us.
13-12.
Defensive game there, huh?
They stall. They were allowed to stall. The game was a stall. Yeah. You'd get the ball and you could stall for 10 minutes. You could stall
right. No shot clock.
No. Yeah. So,
That's crazy.
and then it turns out that they got beat by some kid that just threw up a Hail Mary that went through the bucket at the buzzer, like the movie Hoosiers,
Yeah.
I mean, and they even mentioned that because he grew up in, I believe, Indiana, which is like basketball central. And if you remember that movie Hoosiers, I believe that championship game they played at the end was at that Butler Hall, and that's the same stadium or the same venue he played in 1928.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and I think it's seated like, I think he said it was only like 13 or 14,000.
Wow.
But he even said his high school games, every game sold out. He goes, they packed it. They could have doubled if they could fit people into the gymnasiums for the games.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
But yeah, the pyramid, I've obviously read through it all and everything, but like Wooden, he knew his cornerstones right away, and he never deviated from it. Industriousness and enthusiasm, and then at the top, competitive greatness, and which is success.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that. We'll build it up. We don't have time to go over every part of this pyramid.
Right.
It's a huge pyramid. We'll get into that. Let me preface this. Let me open up the pyramid of success talk. Is why he created this pyramid. Number one was dissatisfaction with conventional definitions of success. I think we see it a lot with social media, right? Definition of success could be a lot of money, flashy cars, and a private jet, which is fine if that material things if that's your thing,
right?
That's your thing. But I think with some of these characteristics and values you're talking about, success doesn't really have to look like that. It could be that competitive greatness, that winning, that personal life, being married to your best friend kind of stuff, right?
Well, yeah, and you read it. His first and foremost quote at the beginning was peace of mind knowing that you did your best to be the best you can be when the situation called for it. And he believed in hard work. He believed in playing hard. He believed in competing hard. But he believed in those things in sports, athletics, and in life.
Yeah.
So he was a competitive person.
You think that's hard? I mean, you think it's easy to say, but I think to hold these values, these building blocks in mortar traits, in one aspect of your life versus the other.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's pretty hard?
It's difficult.
Yeah.
But I think if we all are striving to be the best we can be, my thing is. I had to, through getting back to Wooden, to get rid of the word win and replace it with success. And every day I am trying to be as successful as I can be. So, I have a thing where I like to look in the mirror at the end of the day because what's in the mirror is truth, it's reflection, it's what did I do? Did I make a worthy effort today? Was I successful today? And then with the mindset, and then also to be honest, and if I failed that day and I didn't do the best I could do, but I think it starts there of demanding more of yourself, and then understanding that you can build on it. Just because you had a bad day doesn't mean you can't learn from it and do better tomorrow. And if you have a success that day, doesn't mean you can't be better the next day.
Well said. All right, a few more things about why he created this pyramid. Once again, I said he was dissatisfied with conventional definitions of success. Number two, he needed a teaching tool. I think a pyramid's a great representation of a teaching tool. Like I said, Steve has it up, and our coach has it up in the rodeo trailer. And inspired by his father's wisdom. It's well known that John Wooden, Coach Wooden, looked up to his father a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing, kind of your memorable moments that you shared about your father's teachings and just kind of those inspirational moments too. Mm-hmm. We talk about number four, his 14-year journey of development of the pyramid. So obviously there was a lot of life experience went into this pyramid. Number five, closing out, it's a blueprint for lifelong growth. So you talk about learning about it when you and Tony were young pups, and then now as you're in your 60s, it's still something you can reference. Why do you think that is?
I think, like I said, there've been a number of things that have really impacted me. I don't know why. Like sometimes, I'm watching a documentary, and I heard a grown man talking about Coach Wooden, and I can't remember who the player was, but we're talking about a guy who was probably in his 50s, pushing 60 years old, and he just said, "Listen, I grew up in a loving house. I had the greatest dad in the world. I loved him. He was a perfect dad. He passed away 20 years ago. And I can go a whole year and never think about my dad. But there's a day in my life that I don't think about Coach Wooden. And you hear that and your heart just kind of flutters, like how powerful that, which makes me, gets in my head and I got to know more. I got to learn more. Who had to have that kind of an impact on an individual? The other one that really stuck with me was Pete Rose Jr. I may have told you that one before, but I'm reading Sports Illustrated, and he's trying to be a pro, and he's living in his dad's shadow, and he's having a rough time, but he's not the player his dad was, And basically he just says, hey, we're talking about a guy's early 30s, and he says, I'm just like any other kid. I just want my mom and dad to be proud of me. Mm. And, I'm reading that, and I'm 50, and I'm thinking, yes, if everybody goes through life with that in their mind, that there's somebody in their life that they will be disappointed in them if they do the wrong thing, might cause them to do the right thing, you want to make these people proud of you. So I don't care, as long as I live, I'm going to want my mom and dad to be proud of me in whatever I do. So that keeps me, again, motivated to try to be the best I can be.
Well said. We're getting into the pyramid. I think another cool fun fact that we learned about Coach Wooden was that first day of basketball camp or practice, however you want to call it. And at UCLA during his time, he coached a bunch of superstars, as we know. Mm-hmm. But he taught them how to put their socks and shoes on. You talk about the details preparing for ILR. What do you think his message behind that proper? He talks about it like it's a orchestra where he's just talking about flowing the sock on and make sure in the fold kind of works in that way. What do you think he had there?
Yeah, he just understood that we're talking about wearing Converse All-Stars.
Cozy.
That was the shoe of the day. So
Plantar
you think about,
friend.
So he demanded that they fit properly, that your toe was right at the end, so you couldn't get turf toe. And I've had it, and I've got it from playing basketball. It's where you stop quickly and your toe jams into the front. You'll get it like hiking, if you're hiking down mountains. Sure. You'll get it doing that. And he understood if the guys get blisters, they can't be productive. They can't contribute to the team. So he started with the most basic thing. I remember my dad used to tell a story. He'd tell his team, okay, hey, we got a race car, right? What do we need to make sure that race car goes? Fuel, right? Tires, a steering wheel, an engine, this, that. They come up with all the other things, and then they'll say, well, what about the lug nut? The most, insignificant thing, the detail, the little thing that has to be on and for that car to go. And then he'll stop. Then at the end he'll go, guess who the driver is? Me.
That's right. That's right. All right, cool. The pyramid, it's easy, it's simple, it's a nice reference. Pyramids are easy to kind of interpret. You might think it's hokey, and let me finish this thought real quick. You might think it's funny, but Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said he thought the pyramid success was a bunch of crap. He thought it was silly. He just kind of pretend when John would have coached it or taught it. But then in his life, he says it's been the most important thing in his life, and he understands it more as an adult and as a person than he did back then. Go ahead.
Exactly, and that was my point on the lug nut was details, and one of his most famous quotes is "Failing to prepare is preparing to fail." So, he was all about the journey and hard work and preparation. We want to do that same thing with preparing for the international, that we want to be there. We want to compete the best we can compete, and hopefully the results will reflect it, but be able to hold our head up high at the end and knowing that we gave our best effort, and no excuses, no, because he talks about pressure with winning. And there is, because when you're winning, everybody's coming after you and wants to take you down. There's pressure with it. And he also talks about being a gracious loser and not making excuses, because too often when somebody gets beat, it wasn't you were at your best, I was at my best, you were just better today. It was an excuse. I had food poisoning. I stubbed my toe yesterday, making excuses, trying to diminish a person's victory. So I challenge our guys and myself to never do that. And be content in that we did our best, shake hands, and let's go enjoy the evening,
Well said.
Yeah.
All right, cool. let's talk about the structure of the pyramid. You got 15 building blocks and 10 mortar traits. Mortar traits kind of just are the glue of this pyramid. Like I said, we're not going to go through just because of a content kind of entertainment. We're not going to go through every building block, but I do want to get your interpretation of a few of them. Is that okay?
Sure.
All right, cool. You mentioned it first up. And I encourage all of you to. We'll kind of close out when we do it to kind of challenge you to take a look at the pyramid. But this is something easy to kind of print out or put in a file on your computer, or just kind of print out and have nearby and kind of refer to it day to day. Anyways, I digress.
Yeah.
Industriousness, the value of hard work. It's going to be the bottom left block. So it's a cornerstone block. What do you got with hard work?
Obviously, you hit the nail on the head. There, being a hard worker. I've tried to carry my life, trying to be the hardest worker out there. Never let anyone outwork me. When I get a new hire in and a young apprentice, and I'll give them a lot of information on introducing them to Sturgeon Electric. Usually, the last thing I want to leave them with is don't let anyone outwork you. Be a hard worker, and if you do that, you're going to fit in. You're going to fit in on the crew. We're not all perfect. We have strengths, weaknesses. But if you show up late, lazy, not fit for duty, guys are going to be reluctant to help you. So be prepared, be on time, be fit for duty, and work hard. And guys, and the men they may yell at you, but they're yelling at you because they want you to get better. And I'll tell them, dude, when you got to be concerned is when you're getting the silent treatment. Because when you're getting the silent treatment, they've given up on you. That's when you're in big trouble. So don't be, and most, if they've come to us, they've already been out in the field for the most part, and they have had people get after them. And hopefully everybody that is doing that is coming from a position of wanting them to get better, to sink in,
Very true.
Yeah.
I've never heard hard work is referred to as industriousness. So
No,
that's kind of a new take.
I hadn't either. In fact, I had to look at it a few times, make sure I could pronounce it right.
Yeah, I messed it up. My limited vocabulary.
But he didn't consider himself a genius. If he talks about himself, coach, he just outworked everybody. That's how he was so successful. Like I didn't know if we're going to get into his 4 learning blocks, which are basic. And I implement the same thing, explain it, demonstrate it, have them imitate it, and then repetition, and that's what he's all about.
Yeah, Steve's referring to John Wooden's principles of learning and practical teachings. If you're an apprentice, print it out. Definitely tape it somewhere, put it on inside your hard hat, put it in your digger truck, and understand there's going to be a process that what you have to learn at a rate you're going to have to learn at. And this is absolutely 110% great tool to have. So you can do a whole podcast on learning and teaching and just in that method too. Headed back to the pyramid, Steve, is that cool with you?
Yep.
All right, bottom right, we'll go with enthusiasm, passion, and energy in everything you do. What do you got with passion and enthusiasm, Steve?
Well, if you love what you're doing, it's contagious. It's as simple as that, obviously I've always, it's easy to see through a phony. It's easy to see through fake enthusiasm. So I've always, in the trade, I've always encouraged everyone, be yourself. Don't try to be someone you're not. Be enthusiastic what you do, and everybody, it's going to be contagious. Everybody else is going to want to be a part of it. So that, I obviously, I believe it big time, and I know that there's nobody's going to mistake my enthusiasm for the trade or for rodeo or for competition. I wear it on my sleeve.
Absolutely.
But it's joy, I love it.
Yeah, definitely passion, enthusiasm. I think that kind of falls into the hard work that you do. Like if you're working hard with something, you're going to be passionate about it. You're going to enjoy showing up every day. I think you see leaders know that they have to be a deliverer of passion and enthusiasm. That sometimes that crew or that team needs a little fire. John Wooden talks about he wasn't a big rah-rah kind of guy. Mm-hmm. He said, we're going to prepare and we're going to be ready and the outcome's going to be what it is, but we're going to set ourselves up for success. If you need a big speech, you're not going to get it from me. You should have yourself prepared. I've coached you enough to know that you should be prepared, right?
Yeah, I mean, he even said that technically he felt if he'd done his job, which he did all the time, to the best of his ability, he could have went up and sat in the stands and watched the game.
Yeah.
That's how well prepared they were.
No, he said he would have stayed, and he wrinkled up a newspaper, and he loved to heckle the refs. Can you imagine that little old man?
Yeah.
Out there getting it. All right, we'll interrupt this with a quick little quote from John Wooden. The pyramid is a framework of achieving success through character and effort, not just winning. Very cool. All right, we'll get back to it. Team spirit, putting the team above itself. He jumps up to the block of 3. What do you got team spirit like?
Well, when I think of team spirit, the first thing that comes to mind is how, as I said before, being selfish over being selfless, putting the team first. If you're putting the team first and not worrying about your own personal statistics or your own personal accolades, then team spirit's got to take care, because you're doing it for others. You're not doing it for yourself, you know. So that's what we strive for on our team is complete selflessness and everybody working towards a common goal and nobody looking for credit.
What do you think happens when you have a mixed match? Maybe someone's more selfless, and then you have another 2 that are selfish, or vice versa, however you want to put it. Is that gonna put a damper in the overall goal? Can you kind of tip the scales in a better weight? What do you got there?
It's difficult. It's difficult.
Let me get you back in the mic.
Pardon me?
Let me get you back in that mic.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it's difficult. Coach talked about the bench. The bench was his asset, or taking it away from them. If they weren't practicing to his standards, he'd just go turn the lights off, say practice is over. He'd take it away from them. The bench, a huge asset in his toolbox, that if you're not doing what you need to do to be the best for the team, you can sit on the bench. So in our world, in rodeo, then it's incumbent on me to recognize those things and, again, try to navigate it the best I can navigate it. They're not all the same. I can treat them differently. I have to think about how I approach certain things. But what was his one famous quote was, talent is God-given, be humble. Fame is man-given, be thankful. Conceit is self-given, be cautious. You know, and that kind of goes to what you're saying right there.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
That's a good quote, too.
Yeah.
I think another famous story was regarding Bill Walton. Bill Walton, Hall of Fame, college and NBA player, had a great career, as recently passed away here a few years ago. But he comes to Coach and he says, Coach Wood had some strict rules with hair and beards, didn't tolerate it just for the fact of upkeep in the sweat, the perspiration, purely strategic, it sounded like. Bill Walton shows up as a star athlete, going to be a superstar at UCLA. Coach, I'm not cutting my hair, and I'm not cutting my beard, and Coach Wooden says, Bill, you're great, but you can leave.
Yeah. He told Coach it's my right.
Yeah.
He's involved in the Vietnam protest and conflict, and he was a senior, and it's my right, and I've earned it. I've done everything he asked me to do. I've done everything. I think you should let me wear my hair. And he goes, yeah, I appreciate it. In fact, I admire your convictions. And the team's going to miss you.
Team's going to miss you.
He got on that 10-speed bike of his, and he was back in 20 minutes, with shaved and cut.
What do you think that message was?
I reading about it, Coach believed that there was a small part of him that wanted to cave, but he felt like he would have lost the team if he did cave into that request by Bill. So, consistency's huge. The rules apply to everybody. You could, in the college game, high school, down, you can have a set of rules and they can apply to everybody and you can enforce them. And he was a man of his word, and he did. I mean, I've seen Bill Walton. He's deceased now, but I've seen him tell that story because he went to Coach years later and he said, "Would he really cut me?" And John would say, only I know the answer to that.
That's great.
Yeah, he tried numerous times to get Coach to tell him.
What do you think how that humbled him is Bill Walton's obviously he has that confidence, and we'll get into that too. But he's trying to leverage Coach Wooden that he's a superstar, and Coach Wooden has to, lay the standard down and say, this is something I'm not budging on. What do you think how does that affect a guy like Bill Walton or superstar?
Well, it's pretty obvious in what happened that, Bill, he tested him, Wooden stood his ground, and Bill went and got squared away and got ready for practice. So he absolutely knew who the boss was.
That's good.
Yeah.
Another quote, John Wooden, be true to yourself. Help others make each day your masterpiece. That's a great way to live. All right, back to the building blocks. What do you think about this format? You like this?
No, I like it. I love talking about, enthusiasm, all these things, all these values,
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get to another building block. Poise and confidence, staying true under pressure. Where does that fall in competitively, Lek, and then maybe personally too?
Well, confidence. I love this quote by Bill Parcells, coach. He says, confidence is born out of one thing, demonstrated ability. So coming back to poise and confidence are built through repetition, through work, hard work, doing it over and over, being able to do it in your sleep. When you have that, you put in that work, it allows you to have that confidence and poise and have that ability to go in with high expectations. I always was disappointed with teams that had really high expectations, but they never put in any work. And I really believe back in the day when Brian and I were first got together as a team, and we literally outworked everybody. When it came to signing up for overtime or saying no, not answering the phone, if we had practice scheduled and we could, if you're forced to go to work, you're forced to go to work. But we went to practice first. He thought just like me, and we put the team first every single time. And yeah, we gave up a lot of money because of it. But the results were evident. That we went, we prepared, worked, and we showed up and we had an expectation of doing well. And it was a well-deserved expectation. There's too many teams out there that put no work in and have high hopes for expectation for victory, and it's delusional.
Yeah, Coach Wooden talks about a lot is having that poise. He calls a timeout, and they understand they're going to win the national championship, and he pulls the team aside and says, hey, the crowd's going to act a fool and the boosters going to act a fool. You are supposed to maintain your composure. What do you think that's about?
Just act like you've been there.
Yeah.
Act like you've been there. Act like a champion. Be professional. But the other thing about it was interesting about Coach is that his teams were so well prepared and conditioned that was his one superstition is that he refused to call the first time out.
Yep.
He ran that other team to exhaustion and made them call that first time out, and it's basically saying, I got you. You know what I mean?
I'm going to outrun you and work you that you have to call that time out.
Yes.
Man, that is cool.
Yeah.
I was going to read a quote, but I'm going to stop here. What do you think about you talk about that having that poise as a winning side? And that's easy. I mean, we're all emotional. You have that joy, and obviously when you've worked hard and put the work in practice, you want to celebrate. But then what about when you're on the other side and you lose? You have to have that poise of confidence, right?
You're dang right. I mean, it's very important to me because, like I said, I'm a flawed man. We've all had weak moments. I've not lost graciously before and didn't like how I lost and have got improved and got better about it, So it's very important to lose graciously. And going back to success and his definition, if you put in the work, if you gave 100%, you were the best you could be to be the best in that moment, and it didn't go your way, you should be able to hold your head high and be proud of what you did. You know what I mean? That's what we're looking for. And so, like I said earlier, as part of me putting my competitive hatred behind me, understanding that I can compete to the best of my ability, be able, when it didn't go right, to be able to still enjoy the process that comes after, and because of that, that's kept me coming back year after year for those moments.
Talk about confidence. How much of that is going to be part of the key to success? For example, you talk about a team may not have the experience with a P-tie that they're going to have to stick, but how much of that is going to be based upon the confidence that they have going into that event or even just on a crew?
Yeah, it's not going into a skilled some sort of skilled event that requires technique and knowledge. You're dependent on luck, So you're dependent. Or there's a lot of teams, the way they rodeo, they don't rodeo to beat you. They rodeo to have you beat yourself.
Yep.
So there's a ton of teams that just go with the strategy. I just need to make the mean time, get all hundreds. If I can do that, we'll hope everybody else beats themselves. So funny story, like I said, we worked our butts off for years at rodeo. They used to have 7 events back in Kansas City. Oh, and we just, year after year, just nothing, just chin and chest, And then in the year 2000, we got through the whole 7 events. We did them clean. We had all hundreds, and we came in 11th place.
Nice. Backfired.
Yeah. So that was like, okay, we got to do something different. That didn't work.
It was a good time. It was fun to run clean, but
yeah.
11th place was going to get a championship. All right, interrupting with another quote here. Here you go, Lek. Success is never final. Failure is never fatal. It's the courage that counts. Man, you got to have that courage, huh? Step back up.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Mm-hmm.
One more. Here we go. Go ahead.
He's just talking about it's the past, the present, the future. Have today influence the future in a positive way.
I like that one. One more quote. We'll head into another block here. I like this one. Discipline yourself and others won't need to.
Very good. Very good. Coach, he wasn't a big disciplinarian because if you were doing things his way, it took care of itself. You disciplined yourself. So he had a way of when somebody was doing something on the court that could affect the whole team and he wasn't happy with it, he would address the whole team to tell them how important each member, how no one's more important on this team than another person. And I'm important too. We're all equally important. And he didn't have to directly call that guy out by name and point to him, but message received. He isn't talking about me. I'm the one that he's telling me to get going. And he said, typically 99% of the time that had its desired results, but he wasn't against pulling a guy into the office if he had to.
Yeah, man. I mean, and we can just go back to your stories you told earlier with Dan recognizing that it was going to be a competitive season, that he had to get the discipline to work on the areas that he wanted to. And you talk about why moving forward to show that progression when he gets to ILR, he's going to have discipline, work with you, put in the time, discipline himself in his schedule and communicating with you. Hey, coach, when you're available, I want to put some work in. That takes discipline.
Yeah, it sure does. Yeah. And, I just had a conversation with Daniel this morning because he's a worker. Nobody's going to outwork him.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, for every one climb that Enoch's done or Joe's done, Dan's done 50. He was wearing that wood out. So, at first I was a little bit like, God, enough's enough. But then I had to think, who he reminded me of? Me. Back in the day, I was out there after work every day, chaining up, doing whatever I had to do up and down that pole, climbing and climbing and climbing, because you just don't. Typically, in our world, in distribution, you could go, if there's no property line or anything, you can go months without ever having to climb. You can go a whole year and maybe have one required climb in the whole year. So in order to be in climbing shape and be fundamentally sound, I had to work at it. I had to make sure. But then I thought more about it, and my conversation with him yesterday morning was just the fact that where my mind was at when I was doing all this climbing. I wasn't climbing to be the fastest world champion speed climber. That's never entered my mind. I climbed to be fundamentally sound and know 100% that I was going to be successful every time I went up and down that pole without losing a rodeo to a kick out or something worse, So he knows, I just, as a coach, I had to communicate. I need your mindset there.
Quote to back that up.
Okay.
John Wooden, it's the little details that are vital. Little things make big things happen. Don't kick out.
Yeah.
Don't break the egg.
Yeah.
Don't lose the cotter key.
Exactly. You had Wheeler.
Yep.
And, and you're talking to him about his personal journey and everything else, but he did talk a lot about us, our team, and our successes and losses. And he made reference. They put it together a long time ago that, you may, the idea is to win the whole thing, win the big trophy, win the championship, so don't lose sight of what the objective is. For a little thing, to win a little battle but lose the war, which is,
the biggest thing I take away from Wheeler and Toby, and like I said, I'm getting to know, I can't remember his name right now, the third person that
Kurt,
but the newer guy.
Yeah.
They put team before. They've realized that team over oneself is going to win.
Which, yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You can take that away just talking with 5 minutes of Wheeler or Toby.
Solid strategy.
Yeah.
So to be emulated.
Yeah.
I often wonder when you watch Bill, the New England Patriots and Bill Parcells and what he was doing and winning and winning and winning. I'm like, why aren't other coaches emulating him? Is it stubbornness? He was just, build your team, offensive line, defensive line. Pay your running back minimum wage and tell him don't fumble the ball. You will not fumble the ball. And then when he has that great season and he's going to make a ton of money, you let him go. And you bring in another guy and you tell him don't fumble the ball. It's
Isn't that weird? They took a bunch of just people who had 1-year contracts that showed potential and they fell into that Bill Belichick, the Patriot way they call it.
Yeah.
And his big thing was do your job.
Yeah.
Hold on to the ball.
Right.
If you're a receiver, catch the ball.
Yeah.
If you're offensive lineman, protect the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Keep him on his back. Keep him on his feet.
Yeah, it's not hard. Control the line of scrimmage and every part of your game is going to improve. Every part.
Exactly. Here we go. Another quote. We'll get to the last building block, then we'll get to the mortar traits. Things turn out best for the people who make the best of the way things turn out. I think it's just a positive attitude, right, Lek? Just, regardless of the outcome,
mm-hmm.
we're going to either pick up the scraps or we're going to learn from it and get back out there.
Goes back to the building blocks, right? Working hard and being enthusiastic.
Speaking of building blocks, we'll go to the tip here. Competitive greatness. Be at your best when the best is needed. Enjoy a difficult challenge. What's that mean to you?
Means with Coach, everything was done before that moment. All the work had been put in. All the preparation had been put in. No detail had been left not covered. And with that peace of mind, along with condition and preparedness, they were poised and confident to achieve that competitive greatness, to be at the top of that pyramid. So he speaks all the time. The journey is where it was at for him. It wasn't the games; it was a journey to get there.
Well, why do you think he led? Why do you think he ended with that as the top of the pyramid? Top of the pyramid is going to get the cream of the crop. It's going to get the most recognition. Is what to focus on. Below that, you have team spirit, alertness, self-control. Why do you think he chose something so maybe, I don't know, unexpected to be up there?
I know, for a guy that never talked about winning or losing, never. That's all he talked about was preparation and being one of his first things he told his players is you can't be what I need you on the court unless you're a good person first. He challenged them to be a good person. And then once you're a good person, then you can arrive at that top of competitive greatness, instilling all of the selflessness that it takes to get there. That's the one that keeps coming back to me time and time again is putting the team first, not being selfish.
I think that can go with a lot of things you said. You opened up the podcast by saying, I want to compete to be the best husband I can. I think, or I want to be the best rodeo team member or the best person on this crew that I can. I think maybe sometimes we can get lackadaisical or complacent as be like, I'm a husband and this is my life, or I'm on the rodeo team and I just have to show up, or I'm on a crew and this is my spot. But I think you said like having that competitive greatness to be the best husband, the best crew member, the best teammate on the rodeo team. Right?
Yeah, why settle for mediocrity? You know, I remember having a foreman that he just made foreman, he brings us together and he says, these are my expectations. We don't have to be the best, but we can't be the worst. We can't be at the bottom. As long as we're in the middle, I'm cool with that. And I'm like, bullshit. You know, I want to be the best. I want to compete. I want everyone to know, you know, I even, like I said, nobody's keeping score. The clinics I talked about, it just happens between your ears when you know you beat somebody's ass out there, and they know they've been beat, but nothing's discussed about it. But you know in your heart, you know, that you put it on the line. So I'm a big believer in trying to be better than the next guy at whatever you do, but then knowing, you know, perfection isn't attainable, but trying to be perfect is what you need to do. Right?
Yeah. Do you think that's kind of John Wooden humor, just to never say it's never about the wins or the losses, but then to have the ending pyramid to be competitive greatness? Like, do you think that's something like, because like I said, it's very uncharacteristic to have that.
Yeah, because, you know, there are so many quotes out there, but that one I read with Lombardi where somebody told him it's not about winning or losing, it's how you play the game. And he looks at him and he goes, well, why do they keep score then? Because damn winning is important. I think it was important to Wooden, you know. I mean, at the beginning of each season, he would write out what he thought the season was going to bring, wins, losses wise, and he'd put it in an envelope and put it in a drawer. And more times than not, he actually put I read through most of these, but not all of it. You know, it seemed like he was maybe put one extra loss in there, but more times than not, it was 24-2, 28-1, whatever it was. It was like a 30 game season, I think they played back in the day.
Right.
So, I think deep down, sure, of course, he got to care about winning, but he just had a way that he communicated to his team to de-emphasize it, so they didn't put undue pressure on him.
Well said. Did you read and learn about how obsessed he was with taking notes of practice? He wrote down the drills. He wrote down what individual players need to work on. Just stuff like that, just real detail oriented.
There's an art to running a good practice, and believe me, I've been around sports my whole life. I think one of the worst mistakes a coach can make is running his guys, like just run laps. Anybody can make somebody run laps. So I always challenge just like he did. He was organized to the minute on how he put more time into organizing a practice than he did into preparing a game plan for the game. That he couldn't stand people standing around watching. So you want people involved in moving, and he did just a fantastic, and he documented it. He had 3x5 cards, and he had it all written down and had a scripted practice. And I think anybody coaching, whether you're coaching, 6-year-old T-ballers, whatever you're coaching, prepare for practice. Have a game plan. Strategize it out. Have stations so everybody's moving and working, you know.
I think it goes with intentionality. It kind of goes back to your conversation with Daniel here a couple mornings ago, when Daniel tells you he's putting the reps in after work to work on that climbing fundamentals, and you're like, well, what's the reason? Why are you intentionally doing it? Oh, you got me?
No, it's the mindset.
Oh, the mindset. There you go. Yeah. Why? What are you getting the reps in for? The mindset and what are you putting that energy towards?
Yeah, because I can't get inside his head. You know, I love him. But I just thought it was important to communicate where I think the mindset should be. And with that mindset, what are you doing? You're putting the team first, right?
Yep.
You're not worried about winning that fastest man in the world award. You're worried about the team being successful.
Man, I like this. All right, it's going to wrap into the building blocks. We got a few more minutes so we can talk about the motor traits. Once again, you look at the pyramid. I have the blocks, and then the motor traits are kind of clouded over the building blocks as kind of the glue. going over a few traits like integrity, patience, faith, and adaptability. You got any input on those, Lek?
No, but what I was just thinking about is I believe in this pyramid so much that I know that my dad had that. In Tony's room there was a poster of the pyramid.
Really?
That poster was in our house, and I would encourage any parent out there. I haven't really challenged our guys to. I've put it in plain view inside the trailer, but I haven't really challenged them to actually look at it and think about it. So maybe that's the next step is start, hey, guys, come here. Let's talk about this. What do you think of this? What do you think of that as we build towards this? And then encourage them, go ahead and get these posters, put them in your kids' rooms at home. I go, this is a strategy to be a successful person in life, to build a life, a worthy life, a quality life. So there's nothing here that deviates from that mission.
Why do you think this pyramid can be used personally and professionally?
Because I think that you've heard me talk about balance and you heard me talk about family and being the best you can be. And this is all about that. This is all about being the best person you can be in your life and everything you can do.
Would you, let's say someone, as you mentioned, your takeaway, so you want someone to have from this episode is be inspired. Say that they're inspired. Would you have any tips for anyone trying to implement these building blocks or these motor traits into their life?
Yeah. And I've been saying this for years, and I'll come right back to it. You know, be a good husband, be a good father, be the best you can be at those two things, and everything else in your life will fall into place. Because if you're doing that, and you feel really good about who you see in the mirror as a person, you feel like you're competing and you're doing the best you can and preparing yourself for the next day. Having that self-confidence and that self-worth is going to make you better in everything in your life. You're going to be a better crew member. You're going to be a better brother. You're going to be a better teammate. You know, everything. So I think it just starts with that.
Why do you think the pyramid has remained relevant in a society filled with a lot of influences and self-gratification and instant gratification type of ways?
Yeah.
Why do you think something like the pyramid can withstand that time?
For me, one word: truth. You cannot find, anything false or off the path with everything he says here. It's just truth. The truth. There's no gray area. There's right, wrong. There's truth. And if you're honest with yourself and you can not look for that gray area that maybe gives you an excuse to do something that isn't right, then you're going to be on the right path. There's no doubt about it. So that's it. It's truth for me.
Stick a fork in that, man. That is good. Man, you're locked in, brother.
Yeah, I'm passionate about this, and I'm telling you, I don't. I've got a long ways to go. I'm 65, and I fail all the time. But I think we all have to have our priorities in the right spot and know what's important. And if you can do that, you're gonna have a life well lived. That's all there is to it.
Absolutely. Kind of land this plane here, Lek, but I know you got a lot of tabs there and you got a lot of thoughts. I don't know if I left anything out that you didn't cover on the pyramid of success in John Wooden. You got anything that I missed?
Well, I wrote under industriousness. When it comes to working hard, there's and I've read multiple coaches' books, and I read Lou Holtz, and he told a story in the book, and I've always communicated, I've always shared it with my teams, and the story goes like this: there's a great kingdom thousands of years ago, well-oiled machine, health, wellness, security, peace of mind, employment. Everything was running great. So the emperor gets his best scholars together and he goes, hey, we've got a great thing going here. We need to document it. So people coming behind us will know how we accomplish this. So they go to work and they work for about 6 months. And they come before the emperor. They put a book down in front of him and it looks like it's 2,000 pages long. He looks at it and he says, too long, cut it down. So they scratch their head, they go back to work, and they come back another 3 months, and they've got it down 500 pages, and he looks at it, too long, cut it down. And they're like, damn it, they were working their butts off. So they come back the next day, and they throw a paper on the ground that has one sentence on it. There's no free lunch.
Perfect.
Yes, there's no free lunch. If it's good, you work for it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Enough said. Dope, man. This was cool. I like this format.
Yeah.
I think we nailed it.
Yeah, I hope so.
I think something we could easily talk about this for 5 more hours. And
yeah, Jacob, I apologize. I didn't know that the question was taped. I thought I was talking to you.
It was slick.
But I always enjoy seeing you, man. You're one of my favorients, so I look forward to seeing you at the ILR.
New technology.
I think he has a baby on the way, so if he was, I was going to ask him.
Oh. Well, I think there might be. We got a few more tricks up our sleeves. Last quote. Here you go for you, Steve. The most powerful leadership tool you have is your own personal example. End of the day, it's about you, right?
You're absolutely right. Make each day your masterpiece, right?
Where can people find you?
Instagram, Lek, a.k.a. Coach. Facebook, I just think my manager, Poopsie, she handles my account. So I'd have to ask her. I apologize to everyone out there that reaches out because I only look at it about once every 6 months. I got to get better of actually, but anything that's posted, she does. So I apologize. It's just, I got to get better.
Man, appreciate you. You're a good mentor. You've been a great friend of me. Thank you for golf, all of our golfing memories, our rodeo memories, and just your friendship, man.
Yeah, same back, and bringing me back to golf. Thank you for that, because I don't know if I ever would have picked up a club in my life again.
What are you talking about, man? You carry the team every time on the scrambles.
Well, like I said, I care to it's hard. It's a hard game, but I care to try to figure it out.
Competitive greatness, Steve Lekvold, Journeyman Lineman, Coach.
D8587245.
We out. Appreciate you guys. Catch you in the next one.